restaurants were segregated. And who would have believed that in our lifetimes we elected not only an African American as president, but he was reelected. That says a lot about our ability to overcome the racism which existed in this country. And I will tell you, 10, 15 years ago, if you had said, you know what, state after state, including conservative states in this country, are going to be passing legislation which said it really doesn't matter if you're a man and a woman, or you're two men, two women, but people who love each other have the right to marry. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, people said, you're nuts. You're nuts, that will never happen. It is happening today because America changed and overcome that type of homophobia and discrimination against gay people. So what we have seen in our lifetimes, in recent history, is huge changes in America on race. Do we have problems? Of course we do, in terms of women's rights. I understand, as well as anybody in this room, that women's rights are being attacked every single day all over this country. But let's remember that we still have made huge gains. When I was mayor of Burlington, back in the 1980s, we appointed the first woman as a police officer. Oh, it was a huge deal. Go to Washington, you're laughing, but go to Washington, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% of the police officers are women. It is no deal at all. Not so many years ago, there was one woman, Barbara Mikulski, only United States Senator. Today we have 19. And that number will go up and up and up. And the good news is that it becomes less of a big deal. In New Hampshire, you have 2 United States Senators are women and a governor's woman. You know what? Ain't a big deal. And that's what it should be. Because we should not be voting for people because they're men or women. We should be voting for them based on their ability. And we have made real progress in that. And I want to thank the state of Iowa. Because if Iowa had not supported Barack Obama, he would not be president. And in a state, let's be frank, in a state, what is the percentage of white people? 95% or so? Yep. All right. That is no small thing that the people of Iowa were overcoming the race issue and electing somebody they believe in. So thank you, Iowa, for breaking down that. So here's my point. I have to tell my wife that I ended on an optimistic note. And that is that we have had our ups as a nation, we have had our downs. And I will never forget, I want you to think about this. I was up in the northern part of the state of Vermont in a town called Derby Line, right on the Canadian border. Actually, Phil Fermonti is my aide. He's from that town. And it was a meeting with veterans. We were honoring veterans who fought in World War II, and I was so surprised to see so many veterans out. We say thank you to the veterans who are here today for your service to our country. But I want to tell this story. The young lady helped organize the event, and she had a video up there. And the video was on December 8th, 1941. Remember what that was about? And that was the day after Pearl Harbor, and it was the day that Franklin Delano Roosevelt declared war against Japan. On that day, the military forces of the United States were not particularly strong. Hitler was marching all over Europe. People did not know if he could be stopped. And Japan was marching throughout China and Asia. And people did not know if they could be stopped. Essentially, because the United States of America started focusing to lead the world in opposition to Nazism and fascism. Within 2.5 years, essentially, that war was won. The United States started nowhere, and in 2.5 years, Nazism and Japanese imperialism was on the defensive. The point being is that if our country starts focusing on what we have to focus on, jobs for working people that pay them a living wage, healthcare is a right for all people, quality education and childcare, and the right of all young people in this country to get an education, a higher education, regardless of their income. If we lead the world in taking on climate change and transform our energy system, we can create huge numbers of jobs and force China and India and other countries to follow us, and we can save the planet. This nation has the capability of doing all of that. But we will not do it if 40% of the people vote. We will not do it if billionaires are able to buy politicians. So our job right now is to focus on the issues facing working families, to educate, to organize, to bring people out to vote, and to have a vision of this country which says that the United States government belongs to all of the people and must represent all of the people and not just the billionaire class. Thank you all very, very much.